Okay, everyone. Thank you for joining tonight. Tonight, we're going to continue from last 2 or 3 weeks. Uh, so you have mm, holiday for PRU and holiday for celebrating the PM10. So first of all, congratulations for us. Uh, Hopefully you guys have a good rest. So let's start. So before last week kita sampai slide number 19. So basically dia cerita macam mana bila kita pilih EC2 dia ada wizard dia. So ada benda yang kita kena buat lah. So kita dah go from AMI, kita ada instance type, network setting and IAM role. So for this slide, so it is common to use EC2 instance to run an application that must make secure API calls to other AWS services. To support these use cases, so AWS enables you to attach an AWS identity and access management IAM role to an EC2 instance. So kita dah belajar sebelum ni kan, kita belajar tentang IAM, identity access AWS identity and access management IAM. So dia ada function yang kita boleh attach EC2 tu role lah. Kita attach that's yang ni kita attach a simple role untuk EC2 ni. So without this feature, you might be tempted to place AWS credentials on an EC2 instance. So an application that runs on the instance to use. So however, you should never store AWS credentials on an EC2 instance. It is highly insecure. Instead, attach an IAM role to the EC2 instance. Okay. So dalam IAM kan kita ada credential, maksudnya kita ada contohnya ada user, ada password, username, ada password kan. So kita nak access service dalam AWS ni, kita boleh guna that username dan password lah. Tapi kalau kita nak this EC2 instance, sebab instead of us, selalunya kita arahkan instance macam EC2 instance yang ambil barang apa, contohnya dalam kes ni dia ambil dia nak ada access dekat S3 bucket. S3 bucket. Dalam ni ada macam gambar dan sebagainya lah kan. So dalam S3 bucket ni, so kita letakkan instead of kita masukkan password dan sebagainya, kita attach a simple policy role lah pada instance ni. Then dia ada policy, so this role dia boleh access S3 bucket. So an instance profile is a container for an IAM role. If you use AWS management console to create a role for Amazon EC2, so the console automatically creates an instance profile and give it the same name as the role. So when you then use the Amazon EC2 console to launch an instance with an IAM role, you can select a role to associate with the instance. In the console, the list that display is actually a list of instance profile names. So in this example, so you see that an IAM role here is used to grant permissions to an application that runs on EC2 instance. The application must access a bucket in Amazon S3. So ada application yang run atas instance ni, kita bagi role kat dia. So that application need to access the S3 bucket lah. And then you can attach an IAM role when you launch the instance, but you can also attach a role to an already running EC2 instance. when you define a role that can be used by an EC2 instance, EC2 ni lah, EC2, you define which accounts or AWS services can assume the role, and you also define which API actions and resources the application can use after it assume the role. If you change a role, the change is propagated to all instances that have the role attached to them. So kita adakan role tu kan, kita dah create satu IAM role. So and then kita attach that role pada macam banyak instance, banyak application. So bila kita ubah that policy, so dia akan berubah untuk semua lah. Semua benda yang kita attach tu lah. Okay. So next. So when you create a EC2 instance, you have the option of passing user data to the instance. And then user data can automate the completion of installations and configuration at instance launch. And then, for example, a user data script might patch and update the instance operating system, fetch and install software license keys, or install additional software. So in this example, user data script, you see a simple 3-line Linux bash shell script. So selalunya dalam polisi ke dalam apa ni, sebenarnya the cloud ni dia banyak programming ni, dia banyak guna most of it dia panggil apa, command line interface lah. Okay, dalam case ni dia guna Linux. So 3-line Linux bash shell script. The first line indicates that the script should be run by the bash shell. And then the second line invokes the yellow dot updater. Updater modify YAM utility. So yang ni dia punya command yang dalam ni famous lah. So YAM, which is commonly used in many Linux distribution, such as Amazon Linux, CentOS, and Red Hat Linux, to retrieve software from an online repository and install it. And then in line 2 of the example, that command tells YAM to update all install packages to the latest version that are known to the software repository that it is configured to access. Okay, update all. And then line 3 of the script indicates that the wget here utility should be installed, and wget is a common utility for downloading files from the web. So first they update semua, everything yang latest, and they update application wget for downloading files. So for a Windows instance, the user data script should be written in a format that is compatible with command prompt Windows, bash commands, or with Windows PowerShell. So dalam Windows dia ada bash command and Windows PowerShell. So ada documentation yang dia prepare. So when the EC2 instance is created, the user data script will run with root privilege during the final phase of the boot process, and Linux instance, it is run by the cloud init services. So on Windows instance, it is run by the EC2 config, EC2 launch utility. By default, user data only runs the first time that the instance start up. However, if you like your user data script to run every time the instance is boot, you can create multi-part file user data script. So this is not commonly done. So basically, bila kita nak start EC2 instance, so this user data dia akan update lah. Dalam kes ni, yang ni ialah Linux EC2 instance lah. So dia kata base bash and update all and then download wget. Okay, right. So when you launch an EC2 instance, you can configure storage options. For example, you can configure the size of the root volume where the guest operating system is installed. You can also attach additional storage volumes when you launch the instance. So some AMIs are also configured to launch more than one storage volume by default to provide storage that is separated from the root volume. So for each volume that your instance will have, you can specify the size of the disk, the volume types, whether the storage will be retained if the instance is terminated. You can also specify if encryption should be used. Okay, the size, volume type, this volume, kalau dah terminate, hilang ke tak, so kita yang decide. So perlu guna encryption dah untuk this EC2. So Amazon Elastic Block Store or Amazon EBS is an easy to use, high performance, durable block storage service that is designed to be used with Amazon EC2 for both throughput and transaction intensive workloads. So with Amazon EBS, you can choose from 4 different volume types to balance the optimal price and performance. You can choose volume types of increased volume size without disrupting your critical application. So you can have cost-effective storage when you need it. Okay. Yang ni bila kita yang ni storage ni untuk bila kita buka EC2 dia bukan yang storage macam file biasalah, dia macam something yang kita attach dengan compute dengan EC2. So dia ada another instance, dia panggil Amazon EC2 Instance Store. So this one provides ephemeral or temporary block level storage for your instance. So this storage is located on disks that are physically attached to the host computer. Instance store works well when you must temporarily store information that change frequently, such as buffers, cache, crash data, and other temporary content. You can also use instance store for data that is replicated across a fleet of instances, such as load balance pool of web servers. If the instance are stopped either because of user error or malfunction, the data of the instance store will be deleted. So yang ni problem lah. So if the instance stops, data store pun here is deleted. Okay. Ada keluar exam lah, dia kata kalau kita guna EBS dengan Amazon EC2 apa pro and con dia lah. Okay. Untuk dalam case ni, untuk EC2 instance store, bila the instance stop, so data store is deleted. So dia ada another file system, dia panggil Amazon Elastic File System. EFS provide a simple, scalable, fully managed elastic network file system, NFS. Okay. Mungkin tak sure kamu pernah dengar network file system. Kita mungkin individu kita mungkin tak guna, tapi kat enterprise dah lama guna lah. Macam Sun dan apa ni network file system ni. Maksudnya kita tak simpan lah apa storage kita dia kita simpan dekat satu tempat lah. Satu tempat dalam data center ke apa kan. Selalunya macam tu lah. Sebab tu dia connected by network. So this NFS file system for use with AWS cloud services and or on-premises resources. It is built to scale on demand to petabytes without disrupting applications. It grows and shrinks automatically as you add and remove files, which reduce the need to provision and manage capacity to accommodate growth. So dalam untuk EFS ni dia automatic lah. Kalau untuk EC2 instance store dengan EBS ni kita kena buat manually. Tapi untuk EFS ni dia automatic lah. Kalau kita simpan banyak dia akan dia automatically tambah lah. Kalau kita reduce dia akan automatically reduce. And kita ada yang tadi dipanggil Amazon Simple Storage Service. Amazon S3 is an object storage service that offers scalability, data availability, security, and performance. And you can store and protect any amount of data for a variety of use cases such as website, mobile apps, backup, and restore, archive, Internet of Things device, and big data analytics. So macam-macam data. Soalnya yang data kita dapat dari website, application sebenarnya kita letak dalam Amazon S3 lah. ABS ni kita guna dalam EC2. EC2 ni pun dengan EC2. Yang ni untuk kita simpan kita punya file. Okay, here you see two examples of how storage option could be configured for EC2 instance. So instance 1 shows that the root volume which contains the OS and possibly the other data is stored on Amazon EBS. So dia kita simpan 20 gigabit volume and 500 gigabit volume in Amazon EBS. Dia panggil elastic block store. And this instance also has two attached volumes. So one volume is 500 storage volume and the other volume is instance store volume. So yang ni yang instance store and volume, and yang ni sebagai storage volume. If this instance was stopped, then started again, then the OS would survive. Any data that was stored on either the 20 gigabit Amazon EBS volume or the 500 gigabit Amazon EBS would remain intact. However, any data that was stored on ephemeral volume 1 would be instance store. So yang ni EBS, yang ni EC2. Satu EC2 ni attach pada EBS. So this EBS ada dua volume. So kalau instance ni stop or ada error, then the data dalam ni akan stay dalam tu lah. So kalau kita guna instance store attach pada instance ni, kalau dia stop ataupun ada error, so data dalam ni akan hilang. So instance store works well for temporary storing information that change frequently, such as buffer, cache, crash data, ada temporary content. So contohnya kita guna instance store ni untuk cepat lah. Yang ni untuk kita simpan. Yang ni untuk macam cache data, benda yang untuk EC2 pick up cepat and then mungkin tak penting lah kan. Tapi dia nak cepat. So basically kita letak dalam ni lah. So kalau ada error apa semua dia akan hilang. Ataupun kadang cache mana kita nak clearkan kan. So tak ada issue lah. So for the instance 2 ni, this example shows that the root volume is on instance store ephemeral volume 2. Okay, dalam kes ni dia hanya ada volume 2, ephemeral volume 2 instance store. So an instance with an instance store root volume cannot be stopped by an Amazon EC2 API call. It can only be terminated. So dalam kes ni root volume yang ni untuk instance 1 ni the root volume dengan EBS. Dalam instance 2 ni dia root volume dia dekat dengan instance store. So dia tak boleh stop. It can be only be terminated. However, it could be stopped from within the instance or OS, for example, by issuing a shutdown command. So it could stop because of OS or this failure. So if the instance terminated, all the data that was stored on ephemeral volume 2 would be lost. Macam saya kata lah, kalau dalam ni, kalau anything stop ataupun terminated, dalam ni semua hilang lah. So therefore, do not rely on instance store for valuable long-term data. Instead, use more durable data storage such as Amazon EBS, Amazon EFS, and Amazon S3. So kalau ada filing yang kita nak, yang penting kita letak dalam tiga storage type lah. So if an instance reboots intentionally or unintentionally, data on the instance store root volume does persist. Okay. Okay. A tag is a label that you assign. So kita tadi storage option, so 7 tags. A tag is a label that you assign to an AWS resource. Each tag consists of a key and an optional value, both of which you define. So tags enables you to categorize AWS resource such as EC2 instance in different ways. For example, you might tag instance by purpose, owner, or environment. So tagging is how you can attach metadata to an EC2 instance. Tag keys and tag values are case sensitive. For example, a commonly used tag for EC2 instance is a tag key that is called name, a tag value that describe the instance, such as my web server. So the name tag is exposed by default. In the Amazon EC2 console instance page. However, if you create a key that is called name with a lowercase n, it will not appear in the name column for the list of instance, though it will appear in the instance details panel in the text tab. So it is a best practice to develop a tagging strategy using a consistent set of tag keys, make it easy for you to manage your resources. You can also search and filter the resource based on the text that you add. So dalam ni pun sama lah. Kita kalau ni kalau kita nak buat filing lah, especially filing, ataupun kita nak kalau kamu kamu buat network configuration ni kan, kamu dah nak kena set up lah. So dia kena tag, maksudnya kamu kena identify, contohnya EC2 ni dekat mana kan. Dia related to mana. Dalam kes ni contohnya dia web server 1. Okay, kita nak letak. So kita tak EC2 sebab EC2 ni semua sama. Cuma kita nak tag EC2 ni refer to apa yang kita nak buat lah. So dalam kes ni dia nak buat web server 1. So and then security block, bila security group acts as a virtual firewall that controls network traffic for one or more instance. So when sorry, tak apa saya. So when you launch an instance, you can specify one or more security groups. Otherwise, the default security group is used. So you can add rules to each security groups. Rules allow traffic to or from its associated instances. You can modify the rules for security group at any time, and the new rules will be automatically applied to all instances that are associated with the security group. So when AWS decide whether to allow traffic to reach an instance, all the rules from all security groups that are associated with the instance are evaluated. So when you launch an instance in a virtual VPC, virtual private cloud, you must either create a new security group or use one that already exists in that VPC. After you launch an instance, you can change its security group. So when you define a rule, you can specify the allowable source of the network communication, inbound rules, or destination outbound rules. The source can be an IP address, an IP address range, another security group, gateway, VPC endpoint, or anywhere, which means that all sources will be allowed. So by default, a security group includes an outbound rule that allows all outbound traffic. You can remove the rule and add outbound rules that only allow specific outbound traffic. If your security group has no outbound rules, no outbound traffic that originates from your instance is allowed. Okay. In the example rule, the rule allows the secure shell SSH traffic over transmission control protocol (TCP). SSH, they allow SSH through TCP using port 22 if the source request is my IP. My IP, kalau kita access pada IP ni, so kita ni yang kita tag tadi kan, tulis my IP. So my IP address is calculated by determining what IP address you are currently connected to the AWS cloud from when you define the rule. So dia akan check bila kamu connect untuk buat setting ni, dia check lah kamu pakai API apa kan. So my IP, so dia akan automatically check that IP dia automatically masukkan lah. So tak perlulah kamu cari IP config dan sebagainya. Tapi it's a good practice to check IP config as on. So that's a good engineer. So and then network access control list, network ACL can also be used firewalls to protect subnets in VPC. So after you specify all the required configuration to launch an EC2 instance, and after you customize any optional EC2 launch wizard configuration setting, you are presented with a review instance launch window. If you then choose a launch, then a dialog asks you to choose existing key pair and then proceed without a key pair or create a new key pair before you can choose launch instances and create the EC2 instance. So Amazon EC2 use public key cryptography to encrypt and decrypt logging information. The technology use a public key to encrypt a piece of data, and then the recipient use the private key to decrypt the data. The public and private keys are known as a key pair. Public key cryptography enables you to securely access your instances by using a private key instead of password. So when you launch an instance, you specify a key pair. You can specify an existing key pair or a new key pair that you create at launch. At launch, if you create a new key pair, download it and save it in a safe location. This opportunity is the only chance you get to save the private key file. So bila nak launch a new key pair tu, dia akan bagi key pair, then kita kena save tempat yang kita selamat lah. Yang kita tahu nak access. So to connect to Windows instance, use the private key to obtain the administrator password and then log in to the EC2 instance Windows desktop by using RDP, remote desktop protocol, to establish an SSH connection from a Windows machine to an Amazon EC2 instance. You can use tools such as Putty which require the same private key. So untuk Windows lah. So untuk Linux instance at boot time, the public key content is placed on the instance, and entry is created within SSH authorized keys. So to log in to your Linux instance, for example, by using SSH, you must provide the private key when you establish the connection. Okay. So after you choose launch instance and then you choose view instance, you will be presented with a screen that looks similar to the example here. So many of the settings that you specified during launch are visible in the description panel. So in the description panel. So information about the available instance includes IP address, DNS address information, the instance type, the unique instance ID, the MI ID of the MI that you use to launch the instance, VPC ID, subnet ID and more. So semua details yang kita masukkan sebelum kita launch tu ada kat situ lah. So many of these details provide hyperlinks that you can choose to learn more information about the resources that are relevant to the EC2 instance you launch. So you can also launch EC2 instance programmatically. So instead of tadi kita guna graphic user interface kan. Yang ni kita kalau kamu dah cakap, kamu dah tak perlu guna wizard tadi, kamu just guna command lah. Okay. Yang ni sebenarnya kalau kamu dah expert, kamu dah boleh masukkan je command dekat AWS CLI. So you can also launch EC2 instance programmatically either by using AWS command line CLI or one of the AWS software development kits SDK. So in the example AWS CLI command, you see a single command that specifies the minimal information that is needed to launch the instance. The command includes the following information. For example, AWS specify an invocation of AWS command, inline utility EC2. Dia nak mula AWS, then dia nak create EC2, specify the invocation EC2 service command, and then run instances is the sub command that is being invoked. So the rest of the commands specify, for example, image ID, MI. So kita guna MI yang mana kan? MI. So MI ni dia ada unique ID. So kita kata kita akan guna MI this ID. So count tu ni untuk you can specify more than one. And then instant type. So kita cari apa C3 kan kita belajar sebelum ni. Ada jenis-jenis dia. So C3 dot large. So dia akan guna this type. And then dia key name, my key pair. So untuk key name, assume that my keypad already exists. So dah ada. And then security groups, kita ambil polisi yang mungkin kita dah create, my security groups. Yang ni pun yang ni pun dah ada, kita dah buat. Yang ni pun kita dah ada, kita dah buat. So basically kita tulis betul-betul lah, takut silap dia akan keluar error lah, dia cari tak jumpa kan. And then kita create dekat mana kita nak letak kita punya instance ni. Contohnya kalau user kamu dekat US is one, so dia akan pilih kat US is one. Okay. So here you see the life cycle of an instance. The arrow shows actions that you can take, and the box show the state and the instance that will enter that action. An instance can be in one of the following state: pending, kita MI launch pending. When instance is first launched from an AMI, so when you start a stop instance, it enters pending state when the instance is booted and deployed to a host computer. And then the instance type that you specify at launch determines the hardware of the host computer for your instance. Okay, running. Okay, from there it's running. So when the instance is fully booted and ready, it exits the pending state and goes to the enter the running state. So you can connect over the internet to your running instance. And then rebooting. Here rebooting, AWS recommends you to reboot an instance by using Amazon EC2 console, CLI, or SDK instead of invoking a reboot from within the guest operating system. So bila dia basically dia tengah run, so sebenarnya macam OS, compute dan sebagainya, kita banyak maintenance dan sebagainya, sebenarnya kita perlukan reboot lah. Handphone kita perlu reboot, komputer kita perlu reboot, macam instant EC2 pun sama juga lah. So reboot. So dia saja untuk guna daripada 3 sumber ni lah. Instead of kita masuk dalam EC2 untuk reboot. Dia boleh juga masuk dalam EC2 macam komputer juga kan. Kita boleh reboot from here. Tapi dia saja untuk reboot daripada luar lah. Then shutting down contohnya running and kita nak terminate and kita mungkin shutting down. So ada proses. This state is a terminary state between running and terminate. So dia ada juga state of terminated. So terminated instance remains visible in the Amazon EC2 console for a while before the virtual machine is deleted. So bila dia terminate, dia akan ada sekejap and then dia akan deleted lah. And then kita ada juga yang kita run, kita stop. So instance that are backed by Amazon EBS can be stopped. They enter the stopping state before they attain the fully stop state. So EC2 yang connect dengan EBS, kita boleh stop dia. And then itu stopping and then they stop lah. So pending state ni, stop state ni, instance will not incur the same cost as a running instance. Starting a stop instance puts it back in the pending state, which moves the instance to a new host machine. So kadang-kadang kita dah tak guna, so kita nak guna balik lah. Contohnya itulah. Kita bukan terminate. Terminate ni delete lah. Kita just nak stop. So bila kita stop, dia akan stop. Dia akan tak dikira sebagai service tak ni. Cuma bila kita nak guna, kita akan restart balik lah. Okay. Dia akan start balik, pending running balik lah. Tapi bila dia dalam keadaan ni, kita tak perlu bayar lah. Tapi kalau kita guna Amazon AWS lah, kalau kita guna instance store tak boleh lah. Okay, a public IP address is an IPv4 address that is reachable from the internet. Each instance that receives a public IP address is also given an external DNS host name. For example, if the public IP address is assigned to the distance is, for example, 203.0.113.25, then the external DNS host name might be EC2 203-0-113-25 compute dash one Amazon AWS.com. So that's the DNS hostname. So dia akan, kalau kita attach public IP address, so public IP address ni tak banyak, dan sebenarnya kita kena bayar lah kan. Tapi kita guna that public IP address terus boleh sampai ke, contohnya kalau kita buat web server kita, kita terus boleh sampai ke situ. So dalam DNS server dia akan record that IP address sebagai that EC2 lah, supaya mudah kita nak refer. So if you specify that a public IP address should be assigned to your instance, it is assigned from the AWS pool of public IPv4 address, and the public IP address is not associated with your AWS account. So when so the public IP address is not associated with your AWS account. So when a public IP address is disassociated from your instance, it is released back into the public IPv4 address pool, and you will not be able to specify that you want to reuse it. So AWS ada public IP address, so kita boleh pilih. Tapi kalau kita dah release, kita tak boleh guna balik lah nombor tu, mungkin orang lain nak guna. So AWS release your instance public IP address when the instance is stopped or terminated, and your stop instance receive a new public IP address when it is restarted. So instance yang kita letak public IP address, kita stop, so this public IP address akan release. Okay, akan release dan kita akan dapat balik new IP address. So if you require a persistent public IP address, you might want to associate an elastic IP address with the instance. To associate an elastic IP address, you must first allocate a new elastic IP address in the region where the instance exists. So after the elastic IP address is allocated, you can associate the elastic IP address with an EC2 instance. So dekat region mana yang kamu letak EC2 kamu tu, kamu cari elastic IP address dan kamu associate that elastic IP address with your EC2 instance. So untuk persistent lah, so kita nak guna that elastic IP address tu untuk reach our website. So by default, all AWS accounts are limited to 5 elastic IP address per region. Because public IPv4 internet address are scarce. However, this is a soft limit. You can request a limit increase, which might be approved. So basically, ada 5 IP address. Mungkin kita ada macam-macam resource yang kita nak letak elastic IP address. So basically, by default, you ada 5. So choose wisely lah. And kalau kita perlukan lebih, kita boleh request lah. Of course lah, kena bayar lepas tu. So instance EC2 instance metadata is data about your instance. You can view while you are connected to the instance. to access it in the browser, you can go to the following lah. Uh, the data can also be read programmatically, such as from terminal window that has the curl utility. So in the terminal window, run curl HTTP latest metadata to retrieve it. For example, retrieval values, public IP address, private IP address, public host name, and it can be used to configure or manage a running instance. And then you can monitor or watch. You can monitor your instance by using Amazon Cloud Watch. So dia ada service yang dipanggil Amazon Cloud Watch, which collect and process raw data from Amazon EC2 into readable near real-time metrics. Okay, dalam ni kita boleh tengok contohnya CPU dia berapa, dah berapa utilization dia berapa dan sebagainya lah. So that service you can subscribe to it. So this statistics are recorded for a period of 15 months. So you can access historical information and so on. So by default, Amazon EC2 provide a basic monitoring which send metric data to CloudWatch in 5 minutes period. To send metric data for your instance to CloudWatch in 1 minute period, you can enable detailed monitoring on the instance. So basically, dalam 5 minit dia akan hantar. So basically kalau kita nak cepat atau kita nak make sure kalau anything happen kita dapat tahu cepat, so kita kena enable detail monitoring lah dekat kita punya instance. So dalam seminit ni okey lah. So kalau macam enterprise level lagi lah, dia nak tahu lagi cepat kan. So yang tu kena bayar lagi lah. So the Amazon EC2 console display a series of graph based on the raw data from Amazon CloudWatch. Depending on your needs, you might depending on your needs, you might prefer to get data from an instance from Amazon CloudWatch instead of through the graph in the console. So kalau Amazon CloudWatch ni kita nampak clearly sikit instead of kita tengok daripada data yang kita tak berapa confident lah. So kalau CloudWatch ni dia memang design untuk for monitoring. So section 2 takeaway, Amazon EC2 enables you to run Windows and Linux virtual machine in the cloud. So dia ada, bila kamu set kerja nanti kamu nampak lah. Ada yang guna Windows, ada yang guna Linux base. Dia ada support team. Ikutlah tanya kamu masuk dekat mana lah. Ada yang masuk line Linux, Linux team. Ada yang masuk line Windows team. So tapi kebanyakan sistem kat dunia ni dia run on Linux lah. So 70%, tapi still Windows also ada market dia. So lab 3 nanti kamu buat dan kamu update report nanti. So lab 3 is introduction to Amazon EC2. This lab provide a hands-on practice with launching, resizing, managing and monitoring on Amazon EC2 instance. Apa yang kita belajar tadi lah. So kamu akan go for launch your Amazon EC2 instance, monitor instance, update your security groups, explore EC2 instance limits and task termination. So kebanyakan soalan exam ke apa saja, lab test ke presentation apa semua datang daripada lab yang kat dalam ni lah. Lepas ni kita akan go for Google Cloud. Tapi yang ni pun tak habis kan. So banyak lab kat sini, kamu baca dulu, faham macam mana function dia, macam mana nak setting dia, kamu tengok sebelum kamu run the sebelum kamu run the lab, kamu baca dulu dan tengok macam mana setting. So it's good for you too, bila kamu masuk kerja nanti kamu dah biasa dengan setting. Sebab dekat dalam dunia ni 50% of cloud technology use AWS, Amazon AWS. And another 25 to 30% use Google Cloud. Another one use Amazon, Microsoft Azure. Tapi basically dia benda yang sama jugalah. Okay. So kita go for Amazon, kita habiskan this chapter 6. Boleh kita nak habiskan lah. Amazon EC2 cost optimization. So basically Amazon offers different pricing models to choose from when you want to run EC2 instance. Per second billing is only available for on-demand instance, reserve instance, and spot instance that run on Amazon Linux or Ubuntu, dia tak ada Windows lah. Per second billing. So on-demand instance are eligible for the AWS free tier. So they have the lowest upfront cost and the most flexibility, and they are no upfront commitments or long-term contracts. It is good choice for application with short-term, spiky or unpredictable workloads. So on-demand instance, pay by the hour, no long-term commitments, eligible for AWS free tier. Yang ni kalau kamu masuk untuk guna yang free tier tu, kamu boleh guna, tapi berhati-hati lah. Okay, and then yang ni untuk yang kita tak tahu, kita saja nak guna, nak test apa sebagainya, bolehlah on demand. Kita jangan minta nak sekarang dan sebagainya. Macam Netflix lah, kita nak on demand sekarang juga kan. So macam yang next one is dedicated host, physical servers with instance capacity that is dedicated to your use. They enable you to use your existing per socket, per core, or per VM software license such as Microsoft Windows, Microsoft SQL Server. So dedicated host ni mungkin kita nak satu host yang dedicated untuk kita saja. Kita tak nak berkongsi dengan orang lain lah. So dedicated instance instance that run in a VPC on hardware that is dedicated to a single customer lah. So yang ni case yang memang security, high security lah, macam Pentagon ke, Malaysia punya security ke apa, tak sure lah kan. Maksudnya dia nak untuk that, contohnya satu rak ataupun satu bahagian ni dia conquer semua, tak nak orang lain masuk. Tapi dia beat the purpose of cloud. Cloud ni sebenarnya pakai kongsi sama-sama, tapi security tu ada lah. Tapi dalam kes ni dia tak nak kongsi pun dengan orang lain. Dia nak satu macam physical server tu, yang satu rak tu ataupun satu bahagian tu semua dia punya. Dia saja yang guna. Okey. Ini lagi mahal lah. Yang ni memang mahal lah. Yang ni okey lah. Cuma siapa yang tak tahu nak buat apa ataupun dia nak guna cepat, bukan long term, okay, dia boleh guna on demand. Yang ni kalau dia nak dedicated, yang ni bayar mahal. And reserve instance, so enables you to reserve computing capacity for 1 year or 3 years with lower hourly running cost. Full, partial, or no upfront payment. For instance, you reserve discount on hourly charge for the instance, and basically bila dia kata reserve tu between 1 year to 3 year lah. 3 years. Maksudnya kita dah budget lah, kita nak guna dalam setahun ke 3 tahun. So kita dah reserve kita punya berapa yang kita nak. So dia ada ni lah, maksudnya kita bayar full, maksudnya kita booking untuk 3 tahun, kita bayar 3 juta, 30,000 ke apa kan. Ataupun kita bayar separuh, ataupun kita tak bayar, ni kita bayar kat last kali ya. Okay, kita ada juga schedule reserve. Purchase a capacity reservation that is always available on a recurring schedule you specify in 1 year term. So you pay for the time that the instance are scheduled even if you do not use them. So katakan kita kata pada hari Isnin pukul 10 sampai pukul 12 kita dah reserve that instance. Okay. So then dia ada spot instance enables you to bid on unused EC2 instance which can lower your cost. The hourly price for spot instance fluctuates depending on supply and demand. So this spot instant pula bila kita tak nak kita tak guna on demand ni. On demand ni kita surely dapat tapi dia harga macam mahal sikit. Kalau spot instant ni dia macam nasib lah. Kalau ada tak ada. Kalau banyak ada kita boleh dapat murah. Kalau tak banyak ataupun ramai orang permintaan macam Grab sekarang ni lah. Dia banyak permintaan dia kena jadi mahal lah. So they can be interrupted by AWS with a 2-minute notification. Interruption option include terminated, stop or hibernated. So price can be significantly less expensive compared to on-demand instance. Good choice when you have flexibility in when your applications can run. Okay. So dan ni option yang kalau kamu ambil exam untuk AWS ni dia akan tanya benda-benda yang apa beza di antara semua ni lah. So each Amazon EC2 price model provide a different set of benefits. On demand, the most flexibility with no long-term contract and low rates. Spot instance, large scale dynamic workload. For reserve, predictability ensures compute capacity is available when needed. So kita dah reserve siap-siap. So kita tak ada apa maksudnya bila reserve kita bayar awal, so kita pun bayar murah and kita tak perlu kata tak cukup capacity kan. Macam spot instant ni kita tak tahu ada ke tak that instant pada waktu yang kita perlukan tu lah. Dedicated host save money on licensing cost, help meet complaints and regulatory requirements. So ini dalam security ke apa kita perlukan dia dedicated, tak mau kongsi dengan orang lain, and yang ni okey lah. So on demand instance, on short term application development or testing, kita nak test sekejap-sekejap sebagainya, so kita guna on demand lah. Untuk spot instant application with flexible start and end times, so kita nak start bila, nak terminate bila pun boleh. Application only feasible at very low compute prices. Maksudnya kita application tu kita charge murah aja ke orang kan. So kita nak guna resource yang murah. So kita terpaksa guna yang macam ni lah. Macam spot instant yang ada tak sure. Tapi yang tu yang paling murah. So users with urgent computing needs for large amount of additional capacity. So kadang-kadang dia nak banyak, dia just minta yang murah dan banyak lah. So reserve instance, kita perlukan steady state, predictable usage workload. Kita tak nak interruption, kita dah reserve siap-siap. So application that require reserve capacity including disaster recovery and user able to make upfront payments to reduce total kita cost even further. So contohnya macam reserve instant ni, kalau kita bayar awal semua, contohnya instead of 3 tahun tu kita bayar dalam 3 juta, kalau kita bayar awal kita dah reserve untuk 3 tahun, mungkin kita dapat dalam, dia kata boleh dapat tak silap saya dalam sampai 70% lah. 70% maksudnya berapa kan 3 juta tu mungkin boleh sampai 1 juta kan. Dia bayar 1 juta je instead of 3 juta. Okay, highly untuk dedicated host, yang ni case Kita nak install kita punya license, tapi perlu regulatory and so on. So to optimize cost, you must consider 4 consistent powerful driver, right size, choose the right balance of instance type, increase elasticity, design your deployment to reduce the amount of stable capacity that is idle. Kalau idle, decrease. Kalau active, increase. Lepas tu tengok pada optimal pricing model, recognize the available pricing option. Tengok yang mana yang paling murah dan paling the best untuk kita lah. Then optimize storage choices. Analyze the storage requirement of your deployment. Reduce unused storage overhead when possible and choose less expensive storage options if they can still meet your requirement for storage performance. Okay, tiga ni berkaitan dengan pricing, yang keempat ni berkaitan dengan storage lah. First, consider right sizing. AWS offers approximately 60 instance type and sizes. So banyak benda dalam ni, contohnya ada berapa CPU, memory, storage, network throughput, macam-macam type tu. So kita kena check kita punya keperluan lah. Kita nak yang macam mana, nak laju ke, nak yang besar ke, nak yang murah ke. So kita kena check lah. Based on our punya management punya setting and keperluan or limitation. And then kita choose use Amazon CloudWatch metric, how idle are instance when downsized instance. So kita check, so ada kita punya instance ni idle, selalu idle ke, mungkin tak guna banyak resources and bila dan sebagainya lah. So kita guna CloudWatch metric lah. So and then so right size then reserve. So basically kita select the cheapest instance available that still meets your performance requirements. And kita stop or hibernate Amazon EBS back instance that are not actively in use, non-production development or test instance. So instance yang kita guna untuk non-production sebab dalam IT ataupun dalam software lah, kita kata dia ada dua, dia akan ada dua lah. Satu application, dalam application ni, so dalam application dia akan ada dua. Satu production base, satu deployment, satu dia panggil non-production ataupun development lah. So kadang EC2 kita buat sebagai development. So kalau kita tak guna untuk kita tak guna untuk testing, kita stopkan dia lah. So kita reduce the cost. Okay. Untuk production mungkin kita run selalu lah, tapi untuk non-production atau development selalunya kita tak run lah. Selalu kita hanya untuk testing, untuk nak buat changes dan sebagainya, kita test dulu dekat development punya EC2 and then baru kita deploy pada production punya EC2 lah. And then use automatic scaling to match needs based on usage. So automated and time-based elasticity lah. And then leverage the right pricing model, optimize combined purchase types, consider serverless solution Lambda. So nanti kita akan tengok pasal Lambda, and then optimize storage cost. So customers can also reduce storage costs when you launch EC2 instance. Different instance types offer different storage options. So it is best practice to try to reduce costs while also maintaining storage performance and availability. So contohnya macam ada setengah tu kita tak perlu guna EBS pun, kita guna apa is apa instant store. Tapi dia problem dia bila kita terminate EC2 tu, dia punya storage pun hilang. Ataupun contohnya kalau asal kita provision 500 gigabit volume for EC2 instance that will only need a maximum of 20 gigabit of storage space, you can reduce the size of the volume and save on cost. So kalau kita guna 20 gigabit dalam EBS saja, kita reduce je lah. Instead of guna yang besar. And then kita delete EBS snapshot that are no longer needed, sebab semua bila dia running kan, dia ambil apa? Dia taking our money lah. So and then identify the most appropriate destination for specific type of data. So kadang-kadang perlu tak data tu duduk dalam ABS. Kadang-kadang Amazon S3 storage option lebih murah lah. Instead of kita letak dalam ABS. So that storage option kita kena pilih betul-betul. If it's done correctly, of course, optimization is not a one-time process that a customer completes. Instead, by routinely measuring and analyzing your system, you can continually improve and adjust your cost. So, and also, tagging helps provide information about what resources are being used by whom and for what purpose. You can activate cost allocation tags in the billing and cost management console. Ini pun penting lah. Kadang di situ tu kita boleh tag cost allocation tag. So kita boleh tag resource apa yang guna banyak duit lah. So kita AWS juga ada macam AWS Cost Explorer. It's a free tool that you can use to view graph of your cost. You can use Cost Explorer to see patterns in how much you spend on AWS resource over time. So dia ada juga AWS service such as AWS Trusted Advisor service. So semua ni service. So dalam cloud ni kita nak tengok service apa yang dia provide lah. Apa function dia. So which provide AWS Trusted Advisor provide real-time guidance to help you provision resources that follow AWS best practice. Kadang-kadang selalunya yang best dia tu lah. Kadang kita tak tahu apa yang the best. Kita pun tak sure lah. Apakah best practice dalam IT. Sebab kita mungkin orang baru ke ataupun tak ada senior yang guide dan sebagainya. So ataupun ada senior tapi dia pun tak familiar. So kita akan selalu ikut best practice. Best practice dia buat macam mana kan. So dalam ni ada trusted advisor. So cost optimization efforts are typically more successful when the responsibility for cost optimization is assigned to an individual or to a team. Okay, tak sempat habis juga. Banyak compute ni. So I think kita continue hari Khamis lah. Okay, a lot of things you guys have to digest. Tapi sila buat lab yang nombor 3 and upload dekat our Google Class. Okay. Before we end, anyone have any questions or concern?
Hello.
Yeah, yes.
Sir, midterm kita tu lepas exam kita tu lepas midterm break ke apa?
Lepas midterm.
Okay.
Okay. Nak buat sekarang ke?
Manalah sir.
Kita pun banyak cuti kan. So kita itulah. Alright. Okay, kalau minggu depan, minggu ke berapa?
8 sir.
Kamu cuti bila? Midterm ke? Minggu depan
Minggu depan start cuti 8.
Okay. Tapi sebab banyak cuti dah kan? Mungkin sejam dua boleh kot. Free and easy lah. Siap. Siap lah. Alright. Kalau tak ada apa-apa, okay, continue hari Khamis ni. Okay. Thank you very much for joining.
Thank you sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you sir.
Have a good rest.